The moon hung low over the jagged peaks of the valleys of Al-Maut in Iraq, casting a pale, unforgiving light on the barren landscape. The wind howled like a wounded animal, carrying the sharp sting of dust and gunpowder that clung to the air, seeping into every pore. Delta 5, a four-man special operations team led by Captain Marcus Reed, huddled in a shallow depression, their breaths ragged and visible in the biting cold. Heartbeats thundered in their chests. A relentless drumbeat against the sporadic crack of enemy fire echoing from the ridges above. Reed keyed the radio again, his voice steady but laced with desperation. "Any station, this is Delta 5 Alpha. We're pinned down, taking heavy contact, requesting immediate extraction or fire support. Coordinates, grid 35.1247 north, 435678 east. Over." Silence answered, thick and oppressive, broken only by the distant pop of muzzle flashes. Petty Officer Jamal Lee pressed his back against a scarred boulder, his dark skin slick with sweat despite the chill, scanning the fog-shrouded slopes through night vision goggles. The mist rolled in like a living shroud, swallowing visibility, turning the valley into a ghostly maze. Reed's mind raced. 3 days into what was supposed to be a quick recon, their exfil chopper down by mechanical failure, just miles from safety. Now, outnumbered and low on ammo, doubt crept in like the fog itself. "Is this it?" he thought, the metallic tang of fear coating his tongue. Then, cutting through the static like a blade, a woman's voice emerged, calm, measured, with the rich timbre of someone who'd faced storms before. "Delta 5, hold your position. I've got eyes on you." The team froze. Reed's eyes narrowed. A black woman? Impossible in this hellhole. "Who the hell is that?" he muttered, his whisper carrying the weight of old prejudices, forged in barracks talk and unexamined biases. In that moment, the voice belonged to Aisha Kane, a ghost in the machine of war. Far from the chaos, in her mind's eye, she was back in her ordinary world, a quiet apartment in Atlanta where the hum of city traffic replaced gunfire. At 38, Aisha was a study in quiet discipline, her frame lean and unyielding from years of pushing limits others deemed impossible. Her skin, a deep mahogany, bore faint scars from training accidents, but the real wounds ran deeper. She'd risen through the Army Rangers, a black woman in a world that still whispered doubts about her place. Teammates had belittled her, called her a diversity quota, denied her promotions because, as one superior sneered, "Women like you crack under pressure." The sting of those words echoed in her inner thoughts, a constant hum like the tinnitus from too many explosions. Her father's dog tag hung around her neck, etched with "Rise Above" in Morse code, a relic from his days as a black veteran in Vietnam. He'd faced the same shadows, segregated units, white officers who saw him as lesser, missions where his life meant less than others. Aisha remembered the stories he'd told her as a child, his voice gravely from years of smoke and shouts, sitting on the porch under Georgia stars. "Aisha, the world will try to clip your wings," he'd say, "but you rise above the storm. Look at the Tuskegee Airmen, those red tails in World War II. Black pilots, doubted at every turn, but they escorted B-17 bombers through enemy skies, taking down Luftwaffe fighters without losing a single plane under their watch. They fought prejudice at home and Nazis abroad, proving resilience isn't given, it's forged." Those words burned in her now, a beacon against the darkness of discrimination, reminding her that true strength rises from the ashes of doubt. She touched the eagle tattoo on her back, a symbol of freedom, inked after her first deployment, its wings spread wide against the scars of doubt. Back in the valley, Reed shook his head, convinced the voice was a hallucination born of exhaustion. No way a woman, let alone a black one, could be out there, watching from the shadows. "Ignore it," he snapped to his team, his prejudice flaring like a muzzle flash, causing a ripple of outrage among them. Jamal shot him a sharp look, but said nothing yet. "Who is she?" Reed wondered silently. "How does she know our coordinates?" The question hung in the air, a teaser of mysteries yet to unfold, pulling them, and us, deeper into the night. The fog thickened around Delta 5, cold tendrils seeping through their gear, chilling skin already prickled with adrenaline. The howling wind masked the faint crunch of boots on gravel, insurgents closing in, at least 30 strong, their snipers perched on high ground like vultures. Muzzle flashes pierced the mist, bullets whining past, splintering rock and forcing the team deeper into cover. Jamal's hands trembled slightly on his rifle, the acrid burn of cordite filling his nostrils, while Reed's pulse hammered in his ears, a stark reminder that death lurked in every shadow. Overwatch here. The voice crackled again, steady as a heartbeat. Hostiles at bearing 45, range 400 meters, elevated behind the fractured ridge. Secondary group at 315, using the dead acacia for concealment. Move now, bound northeast to the Horseshoe Rocks. Reed hesitated, his prejudice warring with survival instinct. But Jamal nodded fiercely. Sir, she's spotting what we can't. Listen to her. Aisha's journey to this moment had been forged in fire. After Somalia 2018, where command prejudice doomed her up, white officers ignoring her warnings, blaming her for the loss of 3 black teammates, she'd vanished from official records. The guilt gnawed at her, a constant ache like the phantom pain of old wounds. Now, as a private military contractor, she operated in the shadows, her skills hired for high-stakes jobs that governments denied. Tonight, monitoring old frequencies through a network of veteran contacts, she'd caught their SOS by chance, or fate. Her inner reflections stirred. Father overcame prejudice in Vietnam, rising above segregated hell to serve with honor. Now it's my turn to pull others from the brink. Through her thermal scope, the world glowed in shades of heat, enemies blooming like red phantoms against the cold blue fog, far superior to basic night vision, which the mist would blind. It reminded her of the Red Tail's radar innovations in World War II, piercing enemy skies to guide bombers home safely, despite doubts cast on black pilots. One shot from her modified M2010 whispered death, dropping a flanking insurgent, the recoil a familiar jolt against her shoulder. The team bolted, hearts pounding, as Reed keyed back. Overwatch, how do you know our names? Her reply held a secret edge, the dog tag's Morse code tapping against her chest, a hidden link to a family legacy of unsung heroes. The loop tightened, questions breeding more, drawing them into her web of salvation. Reed's grip tightened on the radio, his face twisting in disbelief as the insurgents' fire intensified, bullets ricocheting off rocks like angry hornets. The fog pressed in, cold and clammy against their skin, the howling wind drowning out all but the closest shouts. No way, he growled. A black woman can't snipe at that distance in this soup. We're not following some phantom voice. Could be a spy, knowing our names, our positions. How else? The words hung heavy, laced with prejudice that made Jamal's blood boil, his inner resolve hardening against the doubt that had plagued men like him for generations. The team hesitated, caught in the crossfire of Reed's refusal. Insurgents advanced, their heat signatures flaring in the mist. Too close now. A burst of automatic fire tore through their perimeter, forcing them flat, hearts slamming against ribs as dirt exploded around them. They were seconds from being overrun, the metallic scent of blood mixing with gunpowder, a grim harbinger. Asha, perched on a distant ridge, felt the old wounds reopen, a deep, aching pain of discrimination that whispered, why bother? Let them fall to their biases. Doubted again, just like the Tuskegee Airmen, black heroes written off as incapable yet soaring through enemy fire. Her finger hovered on the trigger, inner turmoil raging like the storm below. But her father's memory surged forward, a steady anchor, rise above. The flashback hit her like a recoil. Back in Ranger training, 2012, the barracks reeked of sweat and tension. White teammates sneered during drills, one barking, "You only got in for the quota, Kane." Women, especially black ones, don't belong in the fight. Promotions slipped away, superiors citing composure issues while ignoring her perfect scores. Once, during a live-fire exercise, they'd left her exposed, claiming team dynamics, nearly costing her life. The isolation burned, tears she never shed turning to steel. Prove them wrong, her father had urged in letters from his hospital bed, ravaged by Agent Orange but unbroken. Like the Red Tails, flying through hell and prejudice, you fight twice as hard, but you win. Those 150 words of wisdom, etched in her soul, pulled her back now. With a breath, she fired. The M2010's crack echoing across the valley, dropping the lead insurgent clean. "Sir, she saved us," Jamal yelled, bounding forward in Overwatch, movement with cover, one team member advancing while others suppressed, a tactic drilled into every operator for survival in hostile terrain. Reed paused, doubt cracking, but the misdirection lingered. She's a spy, knows too much. Does she have an ally in the team? The question looped, pulling them toward trust or betrayal. The freezing cold bit deeper into Delta Five's bones as they regrouped behind the horseshoe rocks, hot breath fogging the air in short, desperate puffs. The wind's howl softened for a moment, but the sting of frost on exposed skin reminded them of vulnerability. Jamal Lee, his dark eyes sharp under the night vision glow, turned to Reed. "Sir, that shot wasn't luck. She's real, and she's saving our asses. Think about it. Who else could thread a bullet through this fog like that?" Reed's jaw clenched, the warmth of his exhaled breath contrasting the icy doubt in his chest. "Maybe she's got an ally here, beating her intel." But Jamal shook his head, his voice firm. "No, Captain. I've heard legends about a black female sniper, ghost in the shadows, pulling units from the brink. If that's her, we trust her. Shared blood doesn't lie." Isha, steadying her rifle on the ridge, felt the mentor's presence in her father's memory. The flashback washed over her. Evenings in Atlanta, his calloused hands holding a faded photo of Tuskegee pilots. "Those red tails," he'd say, voice thick with pride, overcame prejudice that said black men couldn't fly. They saved over 1,000 bombers from Luftwaffe claws, proving through action what words couldn't. Equality isn't handed, it's seized in the sky of doubt. His lessons on resilience echoed now, a humanistic reflection that fueled her. In a world quick to judge skin and gender, true allies rise together, forging bonds stronger than steel. Jamal's conviction cracked Reed's wall. "Fine, but if she's legend, prove it." The team exhaled collectively, hot breaths mingling in the cold, a tentative unity forming. Yet the teaser lingered in Aisha's mind as she adjusted her scope. What does the eagle tattoo mean? Wings of freedom, perhaps, or a deeper secret waiting to soar? With Jamal's words hanging in the frozen air, Reed exhaled a plume of hot breath, his resistance crumbling under the weight of survival. "All right," he conceded, voice rough like gravel. "Overwatch, we're on your call. But one wrong move." The team shifted, a fragile alliance forming as they prepared to bound forward. Hearts racing, the cold fog clinging to their fatigues like a second skin, every step crunching on loose stone amid the distant echoes of enemy shouts. Aisha felt the shift in her core, a full commitment surging like adrenaline through veins chilled by the night. No turning back now, she thought, her inner resolve steeling against the ghosts of doubt. The eagle tattoo on her back seemed to burn, a symbol of soaring beyond chains, urging her to embrace the chaos below. "Overwatch, hostiles closing fast on your left flank," she radioed, her tone clinical yet urgent. Jamal, bound first, 15 meters to the fallen log. "Cover him." Jamal nodded, muscles coiling, and dashed out, exposed in the open. Insurgent fire erupted, tracers arcing red through the mist, the sharp crack of rounds splitting the air. One bullet grazed Jamal's shoulder, hot blood seeping warm against the cold, pain exploding like fire in his arm. He stumbled, nearly falling into the kill zone. Reed's doubt flared anew. "See? She's leading us to slaughter." Outrage rippled through the team, breaths quickening in the freezing haze. But Aisha's first committed shot rang out, a precise whisper from 1,200 meters, dropping the shooter mid-stride. The insurgent crumpled, his weapon clattering silent. Jamal slid into cover, gasping. She got him," he panted, the wound's sting fading under gratitude. The education in her tactics shone through. Bounding Overwatch wasn't just movement. It was synchronized trust, one advancing while others laid suppressive fire, a dance of discipline honed in ranger schools where she'd fought for every inch. Her humanistic reflection deepened the moment, like the red tails guarding bombers through flak, protecting brothers in arms despite the world's scorn. Equality in action, not words. As they pressed on, Reed's voice crackled. "Overwatch, that was close, too close." The mini-climax left outrage simmering, but trust budding. Yet a hook looped forward. How does she reposition so fast? The valley's secrets beckoned, drawing them into the heart of the storm, seamlessly toward greater tests. The valley erupted into a symphony of chaos as Delta 5 pushed forward, the stench of blood and cordite thick in the air, explosions rumbling like thunder through the fog-shrouded rocks. Their first challenge loomed, crossing to the first position, a cluster of boulders 50 meters ahead, with insurgents flanking from the east. Jamal, his shoulder wound bandaged but throbbing with every step, urged Reed on. "She's got us, sir. That last shot proved it. Trust the ally we have." Reed grunted, sweat beading on his brow despite the biting cold, but his prejudice simmered. Ally? More like a token hire they shoved into Spec Ops to check boxes. Black woman playing hero, seen it fail before. The word stung like shrapnel, causing outrage to ripple through the team. Petty Officer Torres shot Reed a glare, his breath hot and ragged. That's bullshit, Captain. She's saving our skins. Bullets whined overhead, the ground shaking from a nearby grenade blast, shards of rock peppering their helmets. Aisha's radio went silent mid-guidance, her voice cutting off abruptly. She's gone. Reed barked, panic edging his tone. Abandoned us, knew it. The misdirection hit hard, doubt festering like an open wound amid the explosion's acrid smoke that burned their eyes and throats. But Aisha hadn't abandoned them. She was repositioning, crawling through the freezing mud to a better vantage, her body aching from the strain. The humanistic weight pressed on her. Memories of Somalia 2018 flooded back, where prejudice had cost everything. Command had dismissed her intel as overcautious hysteria from the diversity pick, leaving her unit exposed. 3 black teammates, brothers in arms, laughing over MREs just hours before, fell in the ambush, their blood warm on her hands as she dragged them to cover. The blame fell on her, a scapegoat for systemic failures, forcing her into the shadows. Why fight for a system that discards you, she'd wondered then, tears mixing with desert sand. Yet here, reflection ignited resilience. Equality demands action, not surrender, like her father's tales of pushing through Vietnam's biases. From her new perch, she calculated the shot. Windage adjustment for the 8 mph gusts howling down the ridge, elevation drop over 1,500 meters, much like Wobu-2 snipers gauging crosswinds in European forests to pick off Axis threats with pinpoint precision. The M2010 cracked once, the bullet arcing true, dropping a flanker who had Jamal in his sights. Got him, Torres shouted, suppressive fire chattering from their rifles. The pattern repeated for the second position, a shallow trench 30 meters west. Enemies flanked again, explosions lighting the night in orange bursts, the metallic tang of fear mixing with blood's coppery scent. Reed's doubt lingered, but Jamal supported fiercely. She's repositioning, not running. Legends don't quit. A third push to a stone outcrop, insurgents swarming, senses overwhelmed by the deafening blasts and choking smoke. Aisha's shots carved paths of survival, proving her worth beyond prejudice. Yet the loop teased deeper. What's the dog tag code around her neck? A family secret, perhaps, waiting to unravel amid the fray. The fog clung heavier as Delta 5 reached the cave, a jagged stone wall offering scant cover. The final defensive position before extraction. Exhaustion weighed on them like lead. Muscles screaming from the relentless push, breaths labored in the thinning air. 40 insurgents massed in the distance, their heat signatures pulsing through Aisha's thermal scope like angry fireflies, closing in from 3 sides. The explosions from earlier skirmishes still echoed, the ground vibrating underfoot, the stench of sulfur and sweat pervasive. Aisha's body trembled, not from cold but fatigue, her inner world a storm of doubt. Father's pain resurfaced, his Vietnam scars both visible and hidden, the prejudice that haunted him till his end. Why keep fighting, she wondered, the ache of Somalia blending with old grief. His voice whispered in her mind, rise above, Aisha. Pain forges strength. But here, alone on the ridge, resilience felt like a fading echo. Jamal called out, voice strained. Incoming. Western slope. The team hunkered down, M4 carbines barking suppressive fire, short, controlled bursts to pin enemies. A tactic essential for buying time in outnumbered fights, conserving ammo while forcing foes to cover. Reed coordinated. Hold the line. Torres, flank right. A burst of enemy fire caught Jamal, a round tearing into his leg, hot blood spurting as he collapsed with a guttural cry. Pain exploded through him, the world narrowing to the burning wound and the howling wind. Sir, I'm hit, he gasped, outrage flaring in the team's eyes. How much more could they take? Aisha's heart clenched. No, not another brother lost to this madness. Inner struggle peaked. Give up or rise? Father's memory surged, his tales of enduring segregated units, pushing through for a cause greater than self. Resilience isn't absence of pain, it's defiance in its face, she reflected, humanistic fire igniting. Like the Tuskegee pilots, battling skies and scorn, saving lives despite the odds. Rise above, she keyed the mic, her voice a rallying cry slicing the static. Her shot cracked from 1,800 meters, dropping the shooter, buying Jamal precious seconds. The team dragged him to safety, suppressive volleys from their M4s, a reliable assault rifle with 5.56mm rounds, designed for rapid, accurate fire in close quarters, holding the horde at bay. Yet as enemies regrouped, a teaser loomed. Something off about their coordination, almost like an insider fed them moves. The major twist beckoned, shadows deepening in the cave's approach. The valley's shadows deepened as the insurgents converged, 40 strong, their movements coordinated with eerie precision, almost too perfect, as if guided by an insider's hand. Delta 5 dug in behind the stone wall, breaths heaving, the air thick with the acrid smoke that seeped into lungs like poison, burning throats and stinging eyes. Bones rattled from the concussive blasts of grenades, hearts pounded in chests like war drums echoing through the fog. The ground trembled underfoot. Dirt and debris raining down as explosions tore the night apart, the sharp crack of gunfire blending with agonized shouts. Blood's coppery tang mixed with the sulphurous reek of expended rounds. Sweat-soaked gear clinging to skin, slick with fear and grime. Every sense screamed overload, the deafening roar drowning thoughts, the flash of muzzle fire blinding in the mist, the vibration of impacts jolting through bodies already pushed to breaking. Reed's hands shook on his M4, the metallic click of reloading a fleeting anchor in the chaos. Jamal, leg bandaged but bleeding anew, grimaced as pain shot through him like lightning, the wound's heat contrasting the freezing wind that whipped dust into whirlwinds. Taurus fired wildly, his face pale, but something off in his eyes, a flicker of guilt. The sensory assault built to a frenzy, acrid smoke coiling like serpents, seeping deeper into every crevice, choking hope and clarity. Bones rattled harder with each near miss, spines jarring against unyielding rock as if the earth itself rebelled. Hearts pounded relentlessly, a cacophony of terror and resolve syncing with the rhythmic thud of incoming mortars, pulses racing faster than the tracers slicing the air. The taste of bile rose in throats, the feel of grit grinding between teeth, the overwhelming din turning the world into a vortex of destruction, where survival hung by a thread. Every inhale a battle against the suffocating haze. Aisha, exhausted on her ridge, steadied her M2010, custom mods for extended range, suppressed recoil, and advanced thermal optics, much like the BU-2 P-51 Mustang's radar enhancements that allowed Redtail's pilots to detect and engage through clouds, turning invisible threats visible with lethal accuracy. Target 1. Enemy sniper at 2,200 meters, through fog. Wind 10 miles per hour, gusting erratically. Barometric pressure falling, lead for slow creep. She slowed her breathing, heartbeat sinking to a whisper, and fired. The rifles report a sharp crack, the heat signature collapsing in her scope like a snuffed flame. The shots cascaded in deadly sequence. Target 2, machine gunner at 1,900 meters, partially obscured by boulders, dropped as he adjusted his tripod, the math of drop and windage flawless. 3, spotter sweeping with night vision at 1,750 meters, eliminated mid-scan, preventing her exposure. 4 and 5 neutralized a demo team lugging explosives, 1,600 meters out, accounting for humidity's drag on the bullet. 6 through 9 dismantled a command cluster, each calculation echoing WU-2 snipers' windage adjustments in dense forests, where precision meant life or death for Allied advances. Amid the frenzy, Reed's voice cut through. Overwatch, their moves, they know our every shift. Must be an insider leaking. Suspicion swung to Aisha. It's her, Taurus snarled, his eyes wild. Black woman ghost, probably selling us out. The misdirection ignited major outrage, the team fracturing as chaos peaked, explosions ripping closer, smoke enveloping like a shroud. But the twist exploded. Taurus, the traitor, caught signaling with a concealed radio, his betrayal fueled by bribes from the enemy. You bastard! Reed roared, grappling him. Taurus laughed bitterly. These ops. They break us for pennies. I took the payout. He raised his pistol at Reed, the team frozen in shock. Aisha's humanistic core ignited, a 200-word flashback to her grandfather, a Redtail's pilot in his gleaming P-51 Mustang over wartime Europe. We fought twice, he'd recount to young Aisha, his voice steady amid the crackle of old records, eyes distant with memory. Nazis in the skies, prejudice on the ground. They said black men couldn't handle complex machines, relegated us to ground crew. But we trained in secret, mastered radar that pierced storms like eagle vision, escorted B-17 bombers through flak and fighters. 0 losses under our watch. We downed 136 enemy aircraft, saved countless crews. Home? Segregation waited, medals denied. Yet we rose, skills inherited from ancestors who defied chains. Resilience isn't glory. It's enduring the double war, proving worth when the world denies it. You carry that blood, Isha. Use it to soar. His tales, woven with the roar of engines and the sting of injustice, shaped her marksmanship. Precision flying translated to ground shots, a legacy of defying odds against dual foes. She fired, the bullet grazing Taurus's hand, disarming him without kill, proving loyalty. In the tumble, her gear ripped, revealing the eagle tattoo, wings eternal. Reed subdued Taurus, awe dawning. Targets 10 through 15 fell swiftly, comms officer at 2,000 meters severing links, reinforcements scattered by surgical strikes, techniques mirroring P-51 dogfights adapted to sniper craft. The assault crumbled. Reed, voice humbled, keyed. Overwatch. I was wrong, you're a guardian. But the loop teased, why does she stay anonymous? The night held its breath, victory bittersweet. The gunfire faded to echoes, the valley falling into an uneasy hush as the last insurgent heat signatures scattered into the fog. Delta 5 slumped against the stone wall, breath slowing from ragged gasps to steady inhales, the acrid smoke dissipating on the wind, leaving a crisp, cold clarity in the air. Wounds throbbed. Jamal's leg bandaged tighter, Reed's hands raw from recoil, but they were alive, the inner peace after the storm washing over them like dawn's first light piercing the mist. Reed keyed the radio, voiced thick with humility. Overwatch. Isha. We owe you our lives. I was wrong about everything. Your skill, your courage, it's legendary. A pause, then her reply crackled soft. You owe nothing, just get home. The acknowledgement hung sweet, a bridge over prejudice's chasm. As they secured the position, Taurus, subdued and zip-tied, dropped something in the scuffle, a dog tag, etched with Morse code. Jamal picked it up, decoding under flashlight. Rise above. Reed's eyes widened. Hers? How? The sweet revelation lingered, a symbol of inherited resilience, educating them on transitions to civilian life. Many operators like Aisha turned to PMC work, channeling military discipline into private protection, funding causes that healed war's scars. Humanistic warmth bloomed in reflection. Equality thrives when biases shatter, one act at a time, like Aisha's legacy rising from Tuskegee's wings. No medals, just quiet victory. The whir of rotors approached, extraction bird inbound. Relief surged, but a teaser shadowed. Radio chatter hinted enemies regrouping, a back challenge looming. The night wasn't done whispering secrets. The extraction chopper's rotors thrummed like a heartbeat, lifting Delta 5 from the valley's grasp as dawn's first rays pierced the fog, painting the ridges in gold and crimson. Back at base in Erbil, the air felt lighter, sterile scents of antiseptic replacing gunpowder, the hum of generators a soothing contrast to explosions. Reed oversaw the debrief. His inner peace after the storm fragile, a quiet calm settling like dust after battle. Wounds bandaged but memories raw. Jamal limped to medical, his leg throbbing less, reflecting inwardly on survival's gift, a second chance, born from an unlikely guardian. Reed filed the report with careful vagueness. Unknown friendly provided Overwatch during contact, but the twist struck. Intel chatter revealed the insurgents knew Aisha's position, hunting her through networks exposed by Taurus's betrayal. She's a target now, Reed murmured to Jamal. They know the ghost sniper's real. Aisha, slipping into shadows as the bird departed, felt the inner tranquility disrupted. Peace after storm, fleeting, like her father's brief respites from Vietnam's haunt. She continued as PMC, private military contractor, a civilian transition many veterans embraced, channeling spec ops discipline into executive protection, humanitarian extractions, and high-risk escorts. It paid well, funding quiet causes, prosthetics for wounded warriors, scholarships for fallen comrades' kids. Education and adaptation. Military skills didn't end with discharge, they evolved, turning warriors into guardians of peace, bridging uniform to civilian life with purpose. Thanks echoed in a secure message Reed sent to a ghost email. Aisha, your actions saved us. We see you now, equal, unbreakable. Her reply, keep rising. The dialogue carried gratitude's weight, humanistic reflection blooming. Equality isn't abstract, it's forged in fire, prejudices melting when lives depend on merit, not color or gender. Like Tuskegee legacies, proving worth reshapes worlds, yet a hook teased resurrection. Whispers of a foundation aiding PTSD vets, linked to Aisha's anonymous hand. Would her hunted path lead to greater revelation? Dawn sunlight broke over the horizon at Fort Liberty, weeks after extraction, its golden rays filtering through the base's pine trees, warming the chilled morning air and casting long shadows that danced like renewed hope. The scent of fresh earth and coffee mingled, a sensory balm after Iraq's dust and blood, evoking rebirth as dew glistened on the grass. Reed, forever changed, stood in a briefing room, advocating fiercely. "We've got to support women and black personnel. No more blind spots," he declared, his voice resonant with conviction, pushing for inclusive protocols that shattered old barriers. The major twist hit like sunlight-piercing fog. Jamal, poring over news clips in the dim glow of a laptop, uncovered a state-of-the-art PTSD center, larger than any before, spanning acres with therapy wings, research labs, and family support, funded by an anonymous Tuskegee-linked foundation honoring Redtail's enduring fight. Millions poured in, veiled through legal fronts, dedicated to mending vets' invisible wounds. "Sir, check this," Jamal said, tapping the screen. Buried in the article, the land's previous owner, a private citizen, initials AK, and a photo of groundbreaking swag, an eagle patch, wings spread defiantly, akin to the viper, but symbolizing soaring freedom. Reed held the digital image, fingers tracing the worn edges in his mind. "That's hers, the one we found." The discovery sweetened the moment, a tangible thread to their savior, affirming her quiet heroism. Sweet transformation sealed it. Reed, once skeptical, now championed reforms, mentoring diverse recruits, his support a ripple of change in the system. "You're a true hero," he'd later whisper in a message, gratitude flowing like dawn's warmth. The surprise unfolded anonymously. Isha met the team at the center's quiet ceremony, cloaked in civilian guise, sunlight haloing her figure. "I'm here," she said softly, revealing the eagle tattoo as proof. Redtail's descent, grandfather piloted those P-51 Mustangs in World War II. Education illuminated, Redtail's legacy. Black airmen overcoming prejudice, segregated yet excelling, escorting bombers through enemy flak without losses, downing foes with radar precision that pierced storms, proving merit against racism's veil. Humanistic layers deepened in a long flashback. Grandfather's tales by fireside, cockpit thunder over Europe, quote etched in memory. "We fought twice, Nazis in the skies, prejudice on the ground. Denied entry to white clubs, mocked as experiments. Yet they mastered flight, resilience forged in isolation's fire, skills passed down like sacred fire, turning doubt to dominance, equality claimed through unyielding action." Isha's reflection: "Such blood runs in me, wounds transmuted to wings, inspiring others to rise beyond scars." Yet a loop teased the elixir. What final message would rise above carry to the world?